for tuning in to the Tom Leykis Show. This is where America gets together to talk about the issues you really care about. It's a different kind of a radio talk program. We're the radio talk show that is not hosted by a right-wing wacko or a convicted felon. No. I am your host. Write down our toll-free telephone number. You're going to need it. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks, big part of our program. We appreciate it. Here we are together again on the radio. This is not a political topic this hour, although it starts off with a story about politics. But knowing how Americans under the age of 50 detest politics and talking about politics, no matter what MTV tries to tell you, I don't want you to think that we're going to engage in a political conversation or try to sound like the Fox News Channel or something like that, because that's not what we do. Well, I have to do this little disclaimer before I talk about this, because I can just see people going, oh, my God. No, it's not. But when you hear the first 7 lines of the story, you're going to say it's a political topic. And Dean has been warned that we're only taking callers from inside the demographic. So if you are one of those old grandparent talk radio callers, the minute you hear the name of the president invoked or something like that and you were planning on calling in, don't. Do not. If you sound like a geezer, call a geezer radio show. Thank you. Here is the story. This, by the way, from CBSNews.com. The Bush administration, under pressure from conservatives to mount a strong defense of traditional families, plans to spend at least $1.5 billion to promote healthy marriages, according to the New York Times. Times says the White House is considering whether President Bush should unveil the plan in his State of the Union speech next week. Can I ask you a question? Why does it cost $1.5 billion to promote healthy marriages? What, are you going to buy commercials on TV? Get married and stay married. A message from the President of the United States. $1.5 billion for that. You got to be kidding me. As you know, the Leykis 101 plan is far more effective than any presidential initiative in promoting healthy lives. The best way to have a healthy marriage is to bang everything that moves until your Johnson falls off. About the time you're sick of banging everything that moves and you're getting bored with sex, that is when you get married and settle down. And believe me, you better be bored with sex, because by the time you get married in this country to the average American woman, she's going to butch up, chunk up, and tell you to shut up. Not going to give you what you want. She will not lick, suck, touch, or tweak anything. She will get you to give your sperm donation so she can get her hands on your wallet for essentially the rest of your life. So, the Tom Leykis initiative would be more like bang everything that moves. Go to the free clinic a few times. You'll get the usual treatments for, the usual stuff that happens when you bang everything that moves. And then finally, when your penis falls off. Because don't worry, your balls, your wife is taking those when you get married. So when your penis falls off, then you can get married. And then you can have a woman take more than half your paycheck and tell you to make your own dinner. Sounds like a good deal, doesn't it? You want a healthy marriage? Don't marry an American. A public service message from the Tom Leykis Show. Anyway, says here that an advisor to President Bush told the New York Times this is a way for the president to address the concerns of conservatives and to solidify his conservative base. Again, it's one thing to say I'm in favor of people getting married and being monogamous. All right, you want to be a conservative? Okay, that's one thing. But I don't know why you'd have to spend $1.5 billion. But that's not the topic. I'm amazed that they would spend $1.5 billion on that. I have no idea how spending that money would have any effect at all. Says here, in the wake of a Massachusetts court ruling that could pave the way to gay marriages, the Times also says conservative groups are asking the administration to press for a constitutional amendment barring marriages between people of the same sex. Mr. Bush has said he would support such an amendment if necessary. Okay. Data from a recent CBS News New York Times poll suggests the president faces little risk of political fallout as a result of his proposed marriage initiative. In fact, many Americans would go even further. 6 in 10 oppose a law legalizing gay marriage, and 55% favor a constitutional amendment limiting marriage to a man and a woman. By the way, what would that do to people who are married and then one of the parties has a sex change operation? Are you automatically divorced if you have a law like that? Did anybody ever think about that? What happens then? Hey, don't bother thinking ahead on any of this stuff. The election is in November. Don't bother worrying about that. We'll figure out the details later. Yeah. Okay. Now, here we get to the good stuff here, okay? And this is where I have to admit I have some areas of agreement. It says here, much statistical evidence. And by the way, you fat, mouthy, unmarried broads who are breeding out there don't give a rat's ass about the following sentence or two. You don't care. You only care about your fat, greedy, big-assed, chunky, butched-up selves. Okay. It says here, much statistical evidence suggests that children of married parents are more financially secure and emotionally healthy. Now, this is not the Republican Party website. It's not the Wall Street Journal. It's CBS News. If you ever have had the misfortune of falling upon the Fox News channel, one of those, you know, they're always saying that CBS is liberal and Dan Rather is liberal. This is CBS News saying it. And I happen to agree with it. Children of married parents are more financially secure and emotionally healthy. I agree with it. It says here, Democrats as well as Republicans have supported efforts to increase marriage among low-income people, including the 1996 welfare reform law and moves to eliminate a so-called marriage penalty from the federal tax code. But get this, and this is where it gets really interesting. Some women's groups worry that promoting marriage will entice poor women to marry abusers. Timothy J. Casey, a lawyer at the Now Legal Defense and Education Fund. Timothy J. Casey works for Now. Do they detach his testicles before he gets to work for them and put them in a safe deposit box or something? How does that work? I don't know. Anyway, he told the New York Times such programs intrude on personal privacy. See, personal privacy is more important than welfare of children. We always say we do what's best for kids, but here is an attorney for the National Organization for Women saying that personal privacy is the most important thing. If somebody wants to have 5 kids with 5 different men, hey, who gives a rat's ass about the kids? Personal privacy of the wool person. I won't say woman because woman includes the word man, and that's a sexist term. We'll just call her a wool person. But then person has the word son in it, so that's also a sexist term. I don't know what you do with that. And notice we don't say mailman anymore, we say letter carrier. Anyway, such programs, says Timothy J. Casey of Now, intrude on personal privacy, may ignore the risk of domestic violence, and may coerce women to marry. Well, listen, Mr. Timothy J. Casey, I got a few words for you. And this has nothing to do with politics. That's why I said this whole topic has nothing to do with politics. It really doesn't. It has to do with the stuff we talk about every day. Bottom line, nobody forces women to marry anybody. Nobody forces women to date abusive men and then have them put those penises inside them and then ejaculate. Nobody forces women to do that. When a woman gets pregnant, nobody puts a gun to her head and says, take that pregnancy to term and give birth to a baby. Nobody says that. Women who do this seal their own fates. They do it to themselves. You've got women who date bad men, violent men, abusive men, because it turns them on. Then after they've been turned on, they say, hey, stick it in me. Let's make a baby. Forget the condom. Come on. Do it to me. Who's your daddy? Hit me. And then you have the baby. It's like, oh, my God. That jerk, that deadbeat, the guy who won't pay child support. It's like women don't want to take responsibility for anything they do at all. Women want the right to do anything they want and take no responsibility for it. It's that deadbeat, it's that cad, it's that jerk, it's that bastard, it's that son of a bitch. It's him. It's not me. Not me who was smoking a pack of mar. The day they had the Planned Parenthood assembly at school, the one who cut out to smoke cigarettes. No, that's not my fault. No. It's the fault of the big bad man. The big bad man who abused me. He looked me up in the phone book. He picked me out at random. Came to my house. I had no choice. The guy raped me. Oh, my God. Suddenly I'm having a baby with an abusive guy. I don't know how it happened to me. Jesus Christ. Can I tell you something? I'm going to say one of the most politically incorrect things I've ever said, but I don't care. I am sick to death of hearing people talking about domestic violence or the phrase violence against women. Violence is wrong, period. I don't care who it's against. The phrase violence against women implies that violence against women is somehow worse than violence against men. Or violence against... what else is there? I don't know. Violence against women implies that violence against men is okay. It's not. I hate that phrase, violence against women. I don't give a rat's ass about violence against women. I care about violence. I don't want people doing violent things to each other. But it is no worse when you commit an act like that against a woman than it is when you commit it against a man. And I'm tired of hearing these phrases. And I'm tired of people, individuals, voters, politicians who kowtow to that phrase, to these constituencies. I hate it. Women who are in abusive relationships are in them because they agreed to go out with abusive guys. The guy didn't put a gun to her head and say, you're going out with me and then you're having my baby. Ever. Women get into abusive relationships because they get turned on being with bad men. That is how it happens. And take it from me, I've been in a domestic violence class sponsored by the state of California. I spent 6 months in it, and I saw it up close, and I'm telling you, this is what it's about. If you don't want violence against women, tell women to stop dating bad men. Stop dating violent men. Stop dating abusive men. When a man is violent, you stop going out with him. If a man appears to be unstable or irresponsible, you don't have babies with him. How about that? Why is it politically incorrect to say that? It is. We don't want to invade anybody's privacy. If a woman wants the right to go out and date as many abusive, violent men as possible and procreate with as many of them as possible, the government shouldn't interfere in that. Regardless of what it does to the children, the offspring of these pathetic, poor, god-awful relationships. No, we're more worried about people's personal privacy. You think I'm out of line here?
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
How'd you marry somebody who doesn't like to go downtown?
I guess sheer stupidity.
It's the Tom Leykis Show on...
Yep. The Tom Leykis Show, 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Thank you for tuning in. Let's say hello to Christine on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Christine.
You pissing me off, buddy.
Really? Why?
Because I listen to you every day, and I guess that means I'm somewhat masochistic myself. But, you know, women do not date abusive men because it turns them on to get smacked around.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think they date abusive men because they just like bad men. Maybe their father was a bad man or something like that, but they like bad men. And you know a bad man when you see one.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
A man does not show his true colors when they meet.
You are so wrong. And you know how I know you're wrong about this? Do you know how I know you're wrong about this? Do you know how many women I have known who have been friends of a wife or friends of a girlfriend, and I meet them, and they're dating a guy or they're living with a guy, and they can't see what I see, and eventually, when I say, you know, you really ought to get out, and they go, but I love him, and eventually the guy's trying to burn her house down, or the guy's trying to grab the steering wheel while she's driving and drive her across 3 lanes of traffic.
You know what? I've heard all the stories. This is what I do for a living.
Right.
Okay? I'm a women's advocate. And what you're saying is just that...
I'm saying that the women are as sick as the abusive men who abuse them. And until we acknowledge that and stop having this simplistic explanation for domestic violence that men are big bad monsters and women are poor little victims who need to be protected, until we get over that, it'll never get fixed.
But people who seriously work in this field and understand, like, I'm not saying it's as simple as that. And I'm not saying that every...
That's what all the political groups say. That's what all the feminists say. That is what all the people on talk shows say. Absolutely.
And just like you're saying what the politically correctness is saying is so simplistic, that's what you're saying. Like, yeah, women just like it because it turns them on and it makes them feel good. That's bull.
Oh, really?
That is so...
Why would anyone get hooked up with somebody like that?
Because he's Prince Charming in the beginning. He's, you know, their major...
No. You know what? I think that is the sickness of the woman. That is a misperception of the woman in the beginning. She can't see the trouble that's lurking right in front of her.
The Tom Leykis Show. This is the Tom Leykis Show.
Yeah, well, okay. Pay him to say it. Let him say it. I don't really like the supermarkets eliminating jobs, for God's sake. 1-800-5800-TOM, the Tom Leykis Show, indeed. And we continue with your telephone call. Ron on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Ron.
Long-time listener. About second time I got called to you.
Thank you.
Hey, man, you're doing a great job. Hey, this whole subject just pisses me off. I'm an employer in Seattle, and I have dealt with this issue many, many times with only women in my employ. And, you know, in the beginning I thought, maybe I can help these people. But there is no help. I mean, they go back over and over and over again. I have fired women because they are in abusive relationships. You know, I have an appearance. You know, I have to be able to show my public that I've got quality people working with them or for them.
I wonder if that's legal to do. Not that I am concerned about it, but I just wonder.
You know what? If their absenteeism is high enough, it doesn't matter what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, I've got it on.
Someday the lawsuits are going to begin. You know, you fire somebody with good reason, like they're not showing up to work because they're dating still another abusive guy, and you are discriminating against women. You are promoting violence against women.
Well, you see, you know, that's the stereotype, isn't it?
Of course, I'd say if you were at the office, you wouldn't be home being beaten by your boyfriend.
That's true, but you know something? There are women out there. I had this one woman who, on a regular basis, every single month, her husband was a school teacher, got paid once a month, and at once a month, she would come in with a black eye. I couldn't have somebody walking around
a black guy?
with a black eye.
Oh, a black eye.
A black eye.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They got punched in the eye.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, you'd say, what happened? Oh, I hit a wall. Well, do you hit a wall every month? I mean, it happens at the end of every month. You come in with a
Sounds like her head hits a wall.
Exactly. And so, you know, it's like...
With a fist in the back of her head.
If your absenteeism reaches whatever level it is that, you know, I have, you're gone. I mean, it doesn't matter if you were abused wife or if you were sick every day or if you were home doing drugs. I could care less. And, you know, I've tried to help these people in the past, and women do not understand that they can get out of the relationship. It's, you know... You know when you get out? When you're dating the guy. You don't move in with him and have babies with him, and then... Then he's really got you where he wants you, and then he can, it's bombs away then. I've had angry husbands calling me saying, how come my wife isn't working today? And I say, because she's got a black eye. I can't have this person with a black eye standing there serving the public. I said, it doesn't look right. And, they've actually come down to me and threatened me, and I've been like, dude, take your first punch. There's nothing would make me happier than to beat the out of a guy who, sorry about the word, beat the crap. Well, even that's bad.
You can say crap.
Okay, thank you. Beat the crap out of a guy who's an abusive husband or boyfriend or whatever. You know, it just makes me so mad to hear about violence against women. But it frustrates me just as much to hear about women who do not get out of the relationship.
Yeah, and so many times I have known, I'm not talking about heard third hand, I have known women who date dangerous, bad men. And as a man, it's very easy to tell who these guys are. I know who they are.
I do too.
I know who they are. And you see women with these guys and you say, you ought to, you got to get out, But I love him. I mean, come on. He only slapped me around a couple of times. You know how many times I've heard that?
Yeah, how many times have I heard it?
Yeah, a couple of times is a couple of times too many. Out.
In 27 years of doing what I do, I've probably seen it 50 times. And that's, 50 different employees.
Wow.
And some of them are continuous. And, I'm honest with you. I have fired women because of their abusive relationships. And it isn't about being punched in the face. It's about absenteeism.
Absolutely. Ron, thank you for the call. 1-800-5800-TOM. Maria on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Maria.
How are you doing?
Do you care, dear?
Actually, no.
I didn't think so.
But I wanted to...
If they fired me tomorrow, there'd be a new jerk here who would get 1/3 my salary, and you'd call in and talk to him, and you wouldn't give a rat's... Hey, Phil, love your show. You wouldn't care.
Not at all.
I am your professor.
You wouldn't care.
I just wanted to call and tell you that I agree with you. I'm so sick of women giving me a bad name because they won't take responsibility for themselves. Some guy touches me, I'll kick the hell out of him.
Good.
I'm sick of this.
Do it.
That women take no responsibility for anything. Or men. I think everybody better start getting on the ball and just saying what they do. And
I refuse, after this show, I refuse to use the phrase violence against women. It's laughable. Laughable. What? And the implication, it's like those old signs from your car, baby on board. Like, don't hit my car. Hit that old guy over there, but don't hit my car because there's a baby on board. It's the same thing here, violence against women. What does that imply? Violence against men is okay?
I think violence just stinks all the way around.
Violence is wrong. Who cares about violence against women? Who gives a rat's ass?
Nobody takes responsibility for anything around here. I mean, it's like You're all raised. Everybody's raised. Nobody's raising their sons or their daughters to take any kind of responsibility for their actions.
You are right about that.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
Tom Leykis Show, 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Thank you for tuning in. It's Cindy on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Cindy.
I absolutely love this topic you're talking about, mostly because I have encountered it so many times. I'm an ER nurse, and we see these women troops in with their 4 children from 4 different men, beat to a pulp time and time and time again, and they never press charges. Never. Mm-hmm. And you'll see them back a month later, and here they are again, same old thing. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing, the word victim, because, after it happens the first time, I don't know how many women I've talked to and said, you're no longer a victim after it happens once. You know it's coming. So, the word victim is so overused.
Right. No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, to me, a victim is someone who gets a brain tumor.
Exactly.
I mean, what did they do to deserve that?
Exactly.
Well, somebody who goes out with a guy who's physically violent and financially irresponsible or unemployable.
Oh, yeah.
A guy with a criminal record. If you're going out with a guy like that, or if you've had children with 2 men or more, I think you've got problems.
I agree, and I think they should have their victim card revoked. Thanks a lot, Tom. Blow me up.
Here you go, Cindy. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. This is Kathy on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi. I was calling in because I was telling the person who was screened or whatever. I have a friend of mine who, she's the sweetest person. She loves everybody. She's just like the greatest person as a person.
Right.
And she caught herself in a relationship, and she ended up marrying this guy. But, we all loved him. Everybody who met him loved him. He was very sweet, charming, had a great personality.
Yes.
And he was like, would woo her with flowers and all this stuff. And it wasn't until they got married and she had his first kid did this other personality come out of, I don't want you with friends, and just closing down her entire world and this insecurity thing. Where did he even... So, I'll tell you, she was like caught in a rock in a hard place. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, some people, I think, are dysfunctional people.
But the thing is, the problem with domestic violence is that we have such a completely simplistic and wrong-headed view of it, that men are big, physically imposing, bad men, monsters, horrible, terrible, and women are delicate little flowers who are victims, and they're always in trouble, and we have to protect them from the big, bad, deadbeat men who beat the crap out of them. And you know what? These women are as sick as the men who hit them.
Well, I would agree that there are definitely, I've been around long enough and met enough people that I know that some people are dysfunctional and are just prone to dysfunctional, just anything.
If what I'm saying isn't true, how many of these women go from one abusive relationship to another?
I think some do, but I think some of them...
Oh, no, dear. Every woman I know who's ever been in an abusive relationship has been in several, not just one.
Well, my experience with my friend, I think what was unfortunate for her is, see, her father passed away when she was young, so she never had a male role model per se.
Right.
She didn't. I had a dad.
Boo-hoo-hoo. We all have our crosses to bear. My father took a leather belt and beat the crap out of me, chased me into a closet, and had me cowering in a corner. Boo-hoo-hoo. So what? You know what? We've all had our problems in life.
Well, yeah, but I think if a female had a father that beat the crap out of her, I think that she'd probably then accept that as a loving person is able to do that.
Well, whatever. The point is, it's illness on the part of the person who dates abusive people.
Yeah, well...
We have to start seeing the woman who is abused as being sick.
Well, I would tell her that she should leave. And as soon as that kind of stuff happened, I stopped seeing her as often because I didn't want to be around this person because I knew what they were doing. And as her friend, I couldn't be fake because every time I'd be around him, he'd make me sick. I'd be like, God, you are such a jerk, And I would try to tell her, well, you should think of leaving him, you know. But because she's had another kid, and she has 2 kids from him, and so she's like, feels like she's imprisoned. She doesn't want to be a failure in her marriage. And,
right.
But that's the thing, and I agree with you. I think, but as far as the whole thing, I agree that there's a lot of people that pick these losers and then expect everyone else to feel sorry for them. There's a percentage of people that just accidentally fall into them. I think there is a percentage of them. And I think those are the few that they're
you know what? I used to believe that, and I used to buy the company line on this from Now and these other organizations. But what really changed my mind was spending 6 months in an abuser's course when I was accused falsely of domestic violence and had to agree to go to a batterer's course for 6 months. And I sat there with people who are hardcore abusers. And I'm telling you, if you looked around this room, I'm telling you, if this were the dating game, you, as a healthy individual, would never have picked any of these men. But you know what? There are women out there that said, I'm in love. Well, these guys were junkies. These guys were bodybuilders who looked like they could...
that's just not physical abusers. That's going to be people that are losers that don't even want jobs, and there's going to be women who support them.
That's my point. That's my point. I looked around this room. You know what? There was no doubt what this room was all about. There was no doubt that these guys were not meeting to discuss financial planning. They were not there to discuss alcoholism. They were not there to discuss mutual funds. These guys, if you looked around this room, it looked like you were looking at the WWF. These guys looked like trouble. Every one of them. Tattoos, piercings, missing body parts, carvings in their arms. A woman who falls in love with a guy like that is as sick as he is.
But Tom, I mean, like I'm saying, like my girlfriend, her mother's a hardworking, sweet person. Wasn't divorced, you know, married, did all the things traditional. And you know, I'm basically the same mold. Okay, we're pretty traditional people. And I think when you're, that from that generation, it was, you stick behind your man, you stand by your,
Well,
and then when something happens, you think, well, and they make excuses for them and stuff.
Well, again, that's her illness, you see? That is her illness. As normal as you think she looked, I believe that is a mental issue that a professional needs to handle.
Well,
and just because your mom is Betty Crocker in the kitchen doesn't mean she doesn't have issues that need to be dealt with by a psychiatrist.
I told her that they should get counseling. I told her you guys...
No, she needs to get another address. That's what she needs to get.
Well, I don't know.
And by the way, look what you're doing. You're continuing the family tradition. You're making excuses for it, telling her to get counseling. You should be telling her to get out.
I told her, I said, I told her that it's not good for the kids to see that because her...
Yeah, but then you tell her to go to counseling.
The boys are seeing...
Forget counseling.
Father being disrespectful and abusive.
Would you tell Jeffrey Dahmer's girlfriend to go to counseling? Would you tell...
of dysfunctional.
Come on. Any number of the Zodiac killers and all that, would you tell them to go to counseling, the girlfriends of these guys? Come on.
Yeah, well, my like I said, that he was like, I met him, my husband had met him. We were surprised to even hear that.
You were only surprised to hear it because your mother covered up for it and made excuses for it. That's the only reason you were surprised. You were surprised because your mother lied to you.
My mother did?
Yes, she covered up for it.
When my mom
That's why you were surprised. If your mother told you when it first happened, you wouldn't have been surprised.
No, my mother, when she was mad at my dad, whatever it was, she would throw dishes at him and he'd be ducking. I mean,
wow, that's great.
So no.
A little counseling.
For her, I mean, she was from the time of...
Go to a shrink.
With mothers with...
You gotta be kidding me.
Valiums and stuff. But...
I understand.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
You know the definitions of the word slut and the word bitch, right?
No.
A slut is anyone who's had more sex than I've had. You know what a bitch is?
What's that?
A bitch is a slut who'll sleep with everybody but me.
The Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. And on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello.
Is that a question or a statement?
I have is that a question or a statement? I'm calling to find out if you can maybe tell these women why they are in the relationship and they shouldn't be in the house.
Because they are mentally ill and they need to seek help. And why is the radio turned up?
I'm sorry?
Why is the radio turned up?
Okay, for once, can you talk about...
Don't tell me what to talk about. Don't tell me what to do.
I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just making a suggestion.
You're telling me what to talk about.
Well, you should help instead of putting...
I am helping, and I'm helping by telling the truth. And the truth is, women who are with abusive men are as sick as the men who abuse them.
Well, finally you said that men are sick.
I have said it before, but you can't hear. You dumb bitch.
The Tom Leykis Show.